Afternoon all. The game between Vishy Anand and Andreikin was very dramatic at the end. Vishy Anand at move 38 just played king c2. To this check on c5 he just played king c2, and then black actually didn't play knight takes d7, which would have been very nice for Vishy with queen c3, and that could actually simplify the position. No, Andreikin played knight a4 check, and Vishy got past the time control. He had about 6 minutes left. He got past the time control, move 39, king b3, the check, move 40, king c2, check, and he got an extra hour passing the move 40 mark. Now here there exists two very, very dangerous moves. One of them was discussed at the press conference, king d2, and Vishy wasn't entirely clear about king d2. And there's another move which wasn't even mentioned at the press conference, rook c4. And I believe if we apply endpoint theory, if you refer to a previous video about endpoint theory, that in human chess we cannot just calculate as simply as computers and effortlessly. Both of these moves are actually mega dangerous. Rook c4 is actually implies an exchange sacrifice from white. Why would white want to go the exchange down? I can show you some of the amazing variations here. After b takes, queen takes a3, so the exchange down. Okay, but there is the dangerous pawn here, and it's for one pawn. Exchange down for one pawn. This is a murky situation. Okay, the bishop protects f4. Say the knight moved back to c5, you'd have to find actually another very strong move in this position, rook d5, because the engine's idea is actually queen e7 is quite painful for black under the right circumstances. For example here, if knight d3, queen e7 is very, very painful for black. How does black actually defend this position? If, for example, rook df8, then knight g4 is actually a killing move. Say rook 6 to f7, we can take here, and it's rosy, it's winning for white. But this is just one of the many variations, and that will be offering less resistance actually than if black played a more precise move here, which is knight b7. And the difference here is that after queen e7 it's not as devastating here. Black has queen b6, and with the potential now of queen e6 at some point, but white has to play a very, very accurate move in this position. There's a lot of ways of actually going wrong. In fact, I mean, this is just computers can effortlessly navigate this position, but to show how white could go wrong with a tempting move, say we use knight g4 here, black's actually almost in the game totally after rook e6, just offers h6, and white's totally lost control here after king h8. It's just very, very scary. Say queen f7, now black plays c3, and white has totally lost control and shut down this diagonal. This is a position you do not want. This would dwindle the extra hour he got, and leaving black with still loads of pieces and dangers for white's king. In fact, if Vishy Anand was a supercomputer, then actually in this line though there is a win, which helps explain the engine's original evaluation. And after queen e7, queen b6, there is one or two ways apparently of playing this. Bishop d2, so that bishop c3 becomes a very important resource to help make knight g4 more effective. So it seems bishop d2, and there's also bishop e3, but let's have a look at bishop d2. So this would be the technical resource needed here. It's just frightening. If say rook e6, we play the check, the knight's being kept on e5 to prevent that for the moment, but bishop d2 actually makes knight g4 more important. This is just from a very, very theoretical perspective we're talking about this position. that bishop d2 appears to be more than +3. Let's give black a try, for example. Let's just try c3. We just take this, and white is now threatening, just like g4, and it's more devastating than before. Without any rook c8, okay. There's a check, doesn't really matter. Bishop d2 here, and this is very, very bad for black. What does black actually do? Say here, check, takes here, and the black's king is getting it. This diagonal, you see, is more open for the king. So when we talk about this move rook c4, and I'm sure many people are going to use their engines to check this position, it just flies against endpoint theory for human chess, where the idea is just to try and win without taking too much risk. Or here, in the tournament situation, Vishy is trying to win the tournament. It's not just about a single game. And if he can take a small but secure step of drawing this game, there's only 2 more rounds to go. And instead of compromising his point in that wider mountain that he's climbing, he's taken the draw. And I believe this is just too complicated. The more I have researched rook c4 here, it's just far too complicated to find this sort of stuff, to go voluntarily the exchange down for a pawn, and to have to sort of find out that queen e7 and bishop d2 is strong. It's just very scary stuff. I mean, it's interesting stuff theoretically, I would say. And here you might be wondering, well, what was wrong with queen b6 in this position? Even more pyrotechnics here, actually. Rook b5 is the crusher here. No other move but rook b5, it seems, because black is threatening quite nasty stuff like knight b4 check now. But rook b5, yeah, that deflects the queen away from d8. So yeah, from an engine point of view, all of this is easy peasy, but yeah, it's not great from a human point of view to try and win this position. The other way, which Vishy actually mentioned in the press conference in this position, was to play king d2, and this is actually even scarier in many respects, to play king d2 after queen d6 check. If we go into this self pin, now here rook f7, and black's actually got very nice prospects for some counterplay again. For example, like this, that nasty knight pin. And if we get this sort of position, queen f6, it's just very, very scary stuff with this horrendous pin. Why give black so much counterplay? White has to play extremely accurately here. I mean, a little slip up, say this, well, we just take that's a major slip up actually. Okay, bishop b4, knight b2, exploiting the pin. Yeah, it's not nice to have pin pieces, so this looks scary unless white's king wants to try and venture out. But what's the point in all this? If Vishy just wants to, if he doesn't want the huge risks incurred, yeah, I think he's absolutely right not to go into these variations. King e2, trying to escape from all this stuff. b4. That's just got too many pieces still on the board. It's too complicated. And there's serious threats now, like knight c3. So I think after bishop d2, knight c5, it's just looking very, very scary. I think he did absolutely the right thing. The more I've looked at this position, that after getting the extra hour, just secured the draw by repetition. If black tries to vary away from the repetition, then white can play bishop takes a3. Yeah, this looks good, to try and get onto that diagonal. And this would change matters quite considerably. Essentially, this really changes things. With that diagonal open, then maybe it would be more tempting to do something. But black just purely repeated, didn't allow this. Okay, so I think congratulations are in order actually to Vishy for his achievements so far in this tournament. With 2 rounds to go, this was a brilliant game played by him to secure an advantage, and I might go over the whole game at some point in the future, but I wanted to first talk about this critical ending of this game. And I think no one should be at all disappointed by Vishy not playing these computer moves. They incur huge risk and complications. Grandmasters are just humans, they're not supercomputers, they can't calculate millions of positions a second. It was a very, very pragmatic decision made to secure the draw. He's still in a very, very good position in the tournament. Comments or questions on YouTube? Thanks very much.